Hello and welcome, Reds. Thank you very much for tuning in for our I'd say instant, but it's been 24 hours post-match reaction. I'm joined by two very special guests, and hopefully Connor from the Kop Council does join us, and possibly Dave from Dave LFC chats as well. Well, if you do like today's episode, make sure you do drop a like on the video and get your thoughts in. If you are watching this video live, make sure you do comment. We'll be reading out every single one of your comments and interacting with all your fellow Reds. And if you are watching this on the repeat, get your comments in. Me, everyone else on the panel tonight will be replying to every single one of your messages and really do appreciate all the support. But as you can see from my thumbnail as well, I did go to the game lucky enough. What an atmosphere. What a fantastic atmosphere. There's no better atmosphere than European nights. I tell you, European nights are completely different. And we know all that as well. But I'm joined by three very Connor, as I said, he'll be joining us. Thank you very much for joining me, Connor. Luke from the 1892 Reds podcast as well. Connor from the Kop Council, and John Moore, my good mate, who does support every single one of us as well, Reds. Thank you, Flavius, and obviously, hopefully everyone at home is having a lovely evening anyway. Good evening. But we'll get straight into the game, really. We'll start off with you, Luke. We'll talk about what was your absolutely fantastic that the Reds have qualified in it, mate. As we were saying just before we did come on air, it's record-breaking Reds. First time we've won the first four games in the Champions League group game. Just an instant thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for letting me come on the channel for a start. And it's just, I mean, you can't really complain, can we? I mean, 3 points, Liverpool. We've won the group. We're through to the next round of the competition. The group of death as the start of the competition it was. And yeah, I was a little bit at the start, before the start of the game, when I saw the lineup, I was a bit worried a little bit because of injuries. Like, for example, you know, I thought me and Ricky said in our podcast beforehand for the preview, like Van Dijk played a lot of games and, you know, maybe they might have to rest a couple of players, you know, maybe rotate it. But I think Klopp had in mind that, you know, we've only got West Ham this weekend and then it's international break after. But I mean, apart from that, mate, I mean, I think I'm with every Liverpool fan like today, yesterday. 3 points, we've won the group. I mean, the last two games, let's just put the kids out and give them some experience in the Champions League nights.
Yeah, we're saying, Luke, as well, when we just even pick us three or us four. Yeah, again, put players at centre half. But yeah, smashing, mate. Connor, cracking stuff in it. Reds, this is what we wanted. I think a lot of people, when we're speaking to you through the week and everyone, probably would have took a point. But for me, being greedy, I felt, and I think Jurgen Klopp did feel how the game for AC and Porto went. That was a draw, so it was important that Liverpool, if we did manage to get the win last night, like we did, it would have been a positive result, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it just completes the revenge tour of 20 months ago, and it was that sense of, I was a little bit like you, mate. It was the fact of, I just want to batter him. I just want to see Diego Simeone just cry in the corner, and that's what happened. But it's like Luke said, the job's done. You know, group of death. You know, what group of death, by the looks of things. But you know, it is just the perfect situation to be in now for Liverpool. Job done, 2 games to go, just focus now entirely on the Premier League. And yeah, just proud the kids. But I thought the performance last night, it just proved that Liverpool can play angry, which I thought was the best thing that we've seen from a Liverpool side, you know, in the last year. And I think that, look, if we can do that and play that style, then, you know, it just adds another stage onto Liverpool's end. But at the end of the day, 3 points through to knockouts. Would we win the knockouts? Who knows?
Absolutely spot on there. It was integral, John, as Connor's alluded to there, the aggressive side of Liverpool's nature. I think this squad learned it after when we got beat by Real Madrid in the final. Obviously, Salah going off, yeah, the dark arts really of winning football games. You do need that sometimes, really, in relation. It was important that we did start aggressive in, as Connor said, and Luke's already alluded to. We got 2 quick-fire goals. We as it always is the case, at home in Europe, mate, that we get off to an absolute flyer. Obviously, we'll discuss the 2 goals in a little second, mate. But we're impressed by the way in which we did approach the game, John. For me personally, and I don't know, everyone else at home felt as well, it was a very professional performance from Liverpool. We knew what the job was in hands, obviously with the crowd behind us, and obviously all the great Reds around the world supporting us, that it was no holds barred, really. Get straight into them. Don't let them settle.
Yeah. If we approach every game the way we did last night for the rest of the season, no one's beating us. Nobody has beaten us. That's the way Liverpool should play every single game for the rest of the season. That anger and aggression we had last night was outstanding. I loved every minute of it. We could have went on second half and scored another 2-3 goals. I think we edged. We pulled off the gas a wee bit. We shouldn't have done that, don't we?
He's spot on there, mate. That's probably even everyone at home as well. That's probably what was for me personally when I went to game, was lacking in that second half against Brighton, possibly. That aggression sometimes where he just needs, even if you need to take a card, take it really. But you're absolutely spot on there, lads. Get to everyone's comments as well. Eamons, any updates on Bobby? Not at the minute, mate, but it did look like he pulled his hamstring or he pulled something, and it does look like he possibly will be missing for the West Ham game, which is not good news. As soon as he come on, and he didn't go long, did he? He literally being on the pitch for 10-15 minutes. Yeah, and then he was off. But at the minute, mate, it looking like a possible 3 to 4 week job, and more, then I think I'd be a bit more concerned in relation to that as well. And there's Dave. How you doing, Dave?
All right, boys. What's the story?
I'm Dave.
I see John Moore up there in the top corner. How are you, John?
Not too bad, Dave. Brilliant. How's you, mate?
I'm absolutely fantastic, guys. It's like Christmas come early last night. We're into the last 16 with 2 games to spare. We're in dreamland. Quarterfinals of the League Cup, the Mickey Mouse Carabao Cup, unbeaten in the Premier League. It is dreamland, baby.
Yeah, Dave. He's like the Queen drinking his drink.
The Queen? Do you like that finger?
It's very posh, isn't it, Dave?
Oh, I always do that. Should see me while I'm in a posh restaurant.
I do love the tracksuit top as well.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't wear.
Baby.
Love the jacket, yeah.
Go on, mate. Might kick it out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, spot on there, Dave. Let's get to everyone's comments as well. Atletico Madrid take the dark arts to a new level. They certainly do, Mitchell. Simeone needs to get on the phone to the UFC. I tell you, Mitchell, I think I always would pay money to see Simeone get absolutely battered. Especially, I think, Jurgen Klopp. Imagine that wrestling match. Well, not even wrestling match, UFC match against Jurgen. Chat, who'd win, Jurgen or Simeone?
I mean, Jurgen took on Sean Dyche last year. I mean, he's got
plenty of experience.
Jesus Christ, that would have been a tough one.
The official Y1B. Good evening, lads. How is everyone doing? Not too bad, mate. Really do appreciate you dropping in. And Tom as well. Absolute legends. Jackie boy, a man like Dave. Absolute legends. Guys, I just have to say that Chelsea are massive. Well, we'll see come the end of the season, mate, how massive these are. I haven't quite got 6 European Cups, have you? You're slacking in that department. And league titles as well.
Yeah, they're massive dickheads. He's right.
The red card for you, just like Felipe there. Red card.
Oh, yeah.
Have to bring
baby.
Yeah, Luke, have you got your refereeing cards? I was going to say.
Give me 1 minute. I'll go and get him. Let me go and get him. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back.
Right. Hey, Dave. Liking the top there, Dave. Wait, when did you get that top, Dave? Absolutely spot on, that.
Oh, when did I get? I got that in the summer. There's 2 LFC shops near me, actually quite close to me, believe it or not, 2 official shops. And anytime I go in, you know, when you go into a shop and you don't really want, you just want to browse, you always come out with something, don't you? You always come out with something. Yeah. But they don't have milk in the LFC shop, so you always have to get a top, you know.
Jack, you can go back to that comment if you want, mate.
What is it? Yeah. VAR review. Yeah. Holy Joe. That should be a segment on everyone's videos. You have Luke going in the background. Can we go to the VAR room? But right, Dave, we'll get straight. Yeah. Have you got the pen and pad? Right down. Yeah. We seen that will lead us into obviously the red card, which we'll discuss tonight, Reds as well. Jürgen all day. It's absolutely spot on there, mate. All Simeone does is hold his shouts at the fans. That very much agree with that, mate. But we'll get straight into the goals. Dave, I'll ask you first. Obviously, this was the first goal. Freeze framed here. What did you really like? Obviously, we can talk about the vision, but this is bread and butter for Trent. He's been doing this for the last 4 years, really. Just talk us through that first goal and what really impressed you about this goal.
Do you know what impressed me the most about this goal? It wasn't only the ball by Trent or the finish from Jota. To be fair, he was, 4 or 5 yards out. But it was Oblak in goal. If you watch Oblak, he doesn't know whether to come or go. It's in that grey zone. It's the best place to put a ball in. And he's coming and he's going. And he's a top goalkeeper, as we know. He's top 3 in the world. He didn't have a clue what he was doing. He was mesmerised by Trent's ball. And it was a simple finish from Jota. But to be fair, Jota, look at him there. He's got 3 defenders. He gets in between 3. He's the one ready to rock. He's the one alive. He's the striker. The other 3 are trying to push out, probably. It's a beautiful goal. It really is. It's a top goal. I might get a job here, match of the day.
Yeah, no. Gary Lineker, you know he's retiring, but all 5 of us are coming anyway. So we do a better job than Jermaine Genius, to tell you that now. But yeah, Luke, as Dave's alluded to, that's fantastic movement, and that's what you get with when you do select Jota. Obviously, we all love Bobby, but it's that clinical nature from Jota, isn't it? That's so important.
I think, as Dave alluded just now, I think, if you look at Jota's positioning from there, I mean, I don't even think like the Atletico Madrid defenders are doing anything wrong. Like, it's just the sheer world class of Trent. And I mean, how many times have we seen? Yeah, I mean, I'll give him another one later on, another red card. But if you look at Trent's positioning, I mean, out of all of those midfield players for Atletico, I mean, how has not one of them thought, right, I'm going to, allow Henderson to go out wide, and he's going to obviously track back to Salah, which usually happens. And obviously it just goes back to Trent. I mean, just look at the amount of space that he's got there.
You'd think that Simeone would have been remonstrating with the whole squad, isn't it? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, and that's as you said, mate, I agree with you. Like, you think out of all the Atletico forwards or midfield players, you'd think, right, as long as defensively we're in a good shape, like we can deal with, sort of crossing chances from Liverpool, but you can't give Trent that amount of time and space on a ball, and the good thing about this goal is as well, apart from just a cross, like he had 2 looks over his shoulder to think, right, where am I going to play it? Like, how am I going to play it? And I think John alluded to that, like, as we was just off stream. It's how he's able to whip the ball in and then just get that bounce off the surface to then it's good enough for Jota to then just poke it home. Yeah. It's just world class from Trent. I mean, how many? We're just running out of words to say about him. I mean, I see a debate today about that's lovely. Hey, Monday night football, we don't need that, mate.
Yeah.
It's actually, Jack. It's actually a textbook. It's a textbook first ball in, first time with the striker. Yeah. They'll be showing this to all the schoolboys and schoolgirls up and down like the country, just to say how to do it. First ball in, there's the striker. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's a good finish from Jota, but it made it easy for him with the ball. It was an easy finish in the end, really.
It's the perfect one, and Luke, obviously that box really. Obviously, Oblak, he's probably expected to get in between, probably about there. He sounds, but anywhere from in there. And especially the positional players, as already alluded to.
I think as well, like, I mean, you get a lot of sort of, midfield players or, wing backs nowadays that they'll just get told when they get the ball in those sort of areas, just put it in the danger area, something might happen. But Trent, he will put it in the danger area, but Trent's just got so much more about his game. Like, he's got certain parts he's probably working on in training, thinking, right, I'm going to put it in that area. And this is the weight of pass that I'm going to play it at. And this is where I want the likes of Jota to be in that next phase of play, or Mane or whoever. It's just, I mean, I see these debates about who we're going to have, Reece James or Trent. I mean, it's not even a debate. Like, he is just by far the best right back in world football at the moment. And you can clearly see from his performance last night why he is.
Yeah, and this is why we're not going to get on a talking point, because we could go all night. But this is why England won't win competitions, any trophies, because you've got a world-class player like that, Trent, and the more preoccupied about being defensive, we should be, well, I'm not saying we because I hate England, but England should be on the front foot in games, not thinking about the players in behind. Don't get me wrong, you'll play some top-level teams around Europe, whether that be the World Cup or the Euros, but you're telling me if a Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp or a Conte or a Mancini, imagine a Trent in that Italian system, it'd be absolutely licking his lips. They'd be like, whoa, right? You make teams round players of that ability. That players, you make the squad around them, but yeah, I could be all right. Sorry, boys. Right, we'll go on to the second goal. Let's get to the official. Hey, Carragher, I'm coming for you, lad.
I think we should start a petition.
Yeah, he is a bootlehead anyway, like me. So yeah, well, I'll bump into him eventually. It's all muscle memory if he knows exactly where to stick it, regardless of what the striker is doing. He's spot on there, Mitchell. He can do that in his sleep, can't he? But John and Connor, we'll get to the second goal, lads, and then it lets me. Right. John, what really impresses you, obviously, about this goal, obviously the second goal in which Sadio Mane scores?
I think it's just the way he outmuscles defenders. Some people think that Sadio Mane isn't strong physically. Sadio Mane is probably one of the strongest players in that team. The strength in that kid is unbelievable. And he outmuscles him. The guy can't keep up him. Was it a cross or was it a shot put? That's the only thing.
What we saying, lads? Everyone in chat as well?
No, it's a shot.
To both.
You can't do both of them at the same time. Man's got two legs instead of go.
Personally, I think it was a shot. I think he tried to shoot, and it's just talking deflection.
It's the thing, isn't he? He's that good. He could disguise it. Yeah. Connor, as John's already bang on with the Mane movement, really. As you can see, obviously, I was surprised, not everyone in chat as well, how poor, as good as Liverpool were, you'd expect better, even from an opportunity round here. Especially, there's only one player there in relation to the Sadio Mane. Trippier hasn't got a clue that Jota's there anyway, but I tell you, if that ball does find Jota in that area, then it's ball of the season anyway, mate. But what really impressed you about this goal, mate? Or we're very surprised the way in which Atletico defended last night?
I'm not really surprised because we all go back to that game 20 months ago and that we absolutely battered Atletico Madrid. We should have been like 4-5 up just in that game, and we all remember, of course, what happened and so on. But it's surprising the fact that none of them looked hungry for the game at times, where, like, defensively, Felipe, coming in from Porto, and that you think, he's a leader for Porto, comes in. I don't think he's really done much for Atletico, apart from, of course, last season with their league title. But it's
and last night getting sent off.
Yeah, I will talk about that. But no, it's the desire from Sadio Mane that I love, and the fact that last year he didn't look like that Sadio Mane. That if Sadio Mane is there last year, he doesn't score. Like that, it's like he's constantly like, okay, if I get in this area, if I get in like a specific area, then it's impossible that Oblak could save it and I could tap it in like he did against Everton all those years ago. And that's what's the impressive thing with me, that how last night especially, how just angry he looked in terms of, he wants to absolutely batter Atletico Madrid, which was kind of nice to watch. But again, it's just one of those balls from Trent where it's a shot, but Trent can go, oh yeah, I meant that, but that's just the type of player Trent is. But no, it's a good goal, and it was just a shock again, like how bad Atletico were defensively last night, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. So the lads have said, can't we just claim it was a pass? Well, we can't to all the Manx and everyone else, but we'll say it was a shot.
Goes down as an assist.
Yeah.
Exactly. It'll be an assist on the books, and that's all that counts. But it was a lovely finish from Mane. It was a lovely, calm finish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He basically passed it into the bloody net.
I think Connor said
that. Is Mane back his best?
I mean, as Connor said, I mean, last season he misses that. I mean, the confidence that he's had this season, he's started
What
really
do you
well,
guys
hasn't he?
think? I'm sure Jack's going to get onto it, but the decision to take him off at halftime, I think it was the correct decision. He would have walked. He would have
100%.
walked big time second half because the
100%.
referee was like a poker player in Vegas with all those bleeding cards. And I mean, he would have sent him off. There's no doubt about it. He would have been off because, we all know Mane at his best. He's electric. They were nibbling at him. They were biting at him. They were doing everything to try get him sent off, basically, weren't they? They got him a yellow, but there's one or two things.
They got the red card, didn't they? Just before they were starting to target Mane. But for me, I think Klopp's made. I said on my watch along. I think every Liverpool fan, and Jack was at the game. I think every Liverpool fan would agree he has to come off for half time.
I tweeted when we went 2-0 up. It's all about game management now. I don't care if you want to go 5-0. I keep 2-0. Just win the game. Get it over. And as Jack will allude to now in a few minutes, the second half was pretty nice, just passing around. Obviously, Bobby was the big standout injury. It looks like a hamstring, but that was unfortunate. But to be fair, we didn't really use much energy up, and hopefully we'll have someone in reserve for West Ham Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, lads. You queued me up perfect. It's almost like, the script. Right, we'll go with it. I think Trent was having a shot there, but I knew Mane would be sniffing around too as well. Spot on there, Raymond. Shot, but we don't care. 100% Mitchell. Obviously, as a Chelsea fan, I'd say that James is better. On current form, he is anyway. But I think Trent overall is better if James is getting there, though. Who's got the most assists?
I mean, Trent has been good for 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like that. Thank you for your comment, lad. Obviously, we'll agree to disagree, but it's almost like people, when you discussed about Luke Shaw last season, Robbo had his worst season, and he was still technically better than Luke Shaw. Obviously, Trent and Robbo, no one has come close apart from Alphonso Davies for the 6-month period when he did win the Champions League with Bayern. But the levels, both of them, they're their own worst enemy. The levels. If Trent or Robbo have a bad game, everyone's jumping on the back going, not Liverpool fans, but rival fans going, oh, they're terrible. But they're hitting levels. Even when Patrice Evra, great left back for years, him and Ashley Cole, head and shoulders above the rest of the left backs within Europe at that time, obviously, but especially in the Premier League. But it's the thing. But I agree. I understand your comment, mate, but we'll see come the end of the season who wins the most trophies, because that's the most important, isn't it? But it's fresh competition, and if you're Gareth Southgate, you're absolutely buzzing, sounds, because I think for a very long time England didn't have the best right backs and left backs. Obviously, we had Ashley Cole down on the left-hand side for a good 10, 15 years. But right back, really, apart from obviously Gary Neville, and there wasn't really an out-and-out standout right back, was there? But we've got about like 5 or 6 now at the minute that could possibly play right back. Luke, you better not give me another red card. That's a 6-match ban, that la. Unlucky.
Retrospective action.
There's Klopp. Trent is more talented, but Reece is more consistent. Even still, Trent wouldn't be like. Thank you for your comment, Lar, but I agree to disagree on that.
But Jack, I know what Sir Klopp is saying.
Yeah,
Sometimes, I mean, let's say Trent is a defender. Let's say he really is. I know he's a winger. He's a winger really, but he plays defensive for Liverpool, but he does more attacking. So what he's saying basically is, sometimes he caught defensively or out of position because he's attacking so bloody much like a winger. You know what I mean? And that's why he's saying. I mean, he gets caught once or twice. Of course he does, because he's up the bloody other end of the pitch most of the time. You know what I mean?
He's playing right wing most of the time.
And it's effective. It's effective for us. You see what happened when we hadn't got him playing.
It's like if you told Danny Alves to play in a Stoke system under Tony Pulis, you just wouldn't tell him. Prime Danny Alves bobbing it down the wing for Stoke, whipping the balls into big Kenwyn Jones, like nah.
Roberto Carlos, remember Roberto Carlos?
Imagine telling those legendary fullbacks, even Cafu, go ahead, mate. For this week, you're gonna sit on the edge of your box and defend. and we're just going to forget about your amazing attacking attributes as a player.
Could you imagine telling Danny Alves to sit back and defend on a cold Wednesday night in Stoke? It's just not going to happen, is it?
No.
He won't even tug off on a cold bloody night in Stoke.
That's a 10-match suspension for you, dude.
Well, to be fair, Danny Alves is on a free, so Stoke. There's always the opportunity.
He's the most successful player of ever.
Yeah, with the most. But a great win last night, Gary. Get in, lads. A long trip over the Pennies Sunday. The Pennies, it's going to be a very we've got a pre-match show coming up anyway, so you're very welcome to pop on, lad. Anyway, Peter Crouch on the end of Roberto Carlos crosses. I tell you, you'd be scoring overhead kicks all day and night. But Luke, really, obviously, Ox's performance, I think he's a man. We've made it a big talking point. For me, hold my hands up, and rightly so. Everyone's entitled to different opinions. I wasn't best pleased with Ox's performance against Brighton, especially in the second half. But what a massive improvement it was last night. How did you feel he played?
I think you spot on there, mate. I generally think the Brighton game, he come on for Keita. The injury in Ox was really poor. Even though Ox got an assist for the second goal for Mane against Brighton, but apart from that, he was terrible in that game, as well as the other Liverpool players on the pitch. But massive improvement last night from Ox, and it was, for me, it looked like with Ox he was definitely playing for his future last night. I think now, if you look at the 7 to 8 midfielders we've got in our squad that will play in the first team, he's down there in the pecking order as one of the last people that are actually going to get into the starting 11 or even the squad. So Ox is definitely, in my opinion, playing for his Liverpool future. But it was a good performance last night from him. Hearing that he will be available for Sunday for selection, he might have to be on the bench. He may start, but definitely encourage him to see what he done last night. He held the ball well. He passed it well. I think there was a moment in the second half. I think he was running towards the corner flag, and there was about 3 Atletico players on him, and he literally got out of it and played it back to a Liverpool player. I mean, it was just so good to see from Ox last night. Good confidence, and hopefully, I've said this so many times, he'll have a good game, and then he'll go on a run of 5 or 6 games without finding any form. Just hopefully he finds a bit of consistency going into these next few games after the break as well.
Yeah, Dave, that's the important aspect of Ox's game, and this is probably, if he can, even at the ground and everyone around the world as well. When he went down, you're like, come on, just give us a break. Give that lad a break. It's like him and Naby. You just want them to stay fit.
Naby-esque. He went down Naby-esque, didn't he? He was just like Naby. But you know what it is about Ox? About Ox, it's similar to Naby. It's basically the same thing, but we know he's got the talent. We know what he can do. We remember 17-18 season when he was unbelievable. That goal against City in Champions League. We all know what he can do. What he even did a few times for Arsenal and Southampton when he was even younger. But the problem for Ox is, I think, it's consistency. So I think he's put himself in the frame for a start against West Ham, actually, now with Fabinho and Henderson, because I think Fabinho and Henderson helps him go forward, because they'll just sit back and it gives him that freedom. And we do need something like that to feed the front three, similar to what Naby does. But I think between him and Curtis Jones, start on Sunday. But I think he did enough last night. If that little niggle he got during the game, but I think he was okay. I think he got the thumbs up at the end of the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ox starts the weekend. And he's a good record against West Ham, actually. If you remember that famous game, he got a brace when you were around that orange kit a few years ago. But I just, as I say, it's back to consistency with him. I mean, would you put him in against West Ham in London the weekend, and he just doesn't turn up? I mean, has he shown enough? He's shown enough in that game, but as you just said earlier, in the Brighton game, he was pretty poor. He got a lot of stick on Twitter. I mean, I've given him a lot of stick over the years. Not huge stick, of course. I wouldn't give any Liverpool player a huge stick, but stick where it's warranted. You know what I mean? Where you're not doing enough, basically. He's better off doing TikTok dances with his girlfriend. But I mean, that's the thing. So I think if he starts, which he's put himself in the frame now, it must be said. Him, Handel, Fab, I think will be the midfield. It's about consistency. Just another performance like that, the international break, and it just gives us options. It's just another player, options, and that's what it's all about for Liverpool. But the key is obviously injuries. He's injury. Will he stay injury free this side of Christmas? That's a big if, isn't it? and consistency. There's the two things for Ox. But great to see him play well last night.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, lads, as well. He's spot on there, Dave. And it's most importantly, we all want Ox to thrive at Liverpool. I know I was not the best pleased with his performance after the game at Brighton, but what I loved last night was that reaction. He's had a bad second half against Brighton, but it says a lot about it, Conor Dunny, that he, as Dave and the lads have mentioned already, the reaction to putting in the performance. If you want to be overly critical of his performance, well, we're not going to sit here and do that. But people were talking about his third fight when he got into the final third of the pitch. But what you can ask from a player is giving 100%, and that's most importantly what he did last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. And like, Dave and Luke went back to that looked like the Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain before the injury, which is the Ox that we want to see. And look, I think pretty much all of us were very critical of Ox after Brighton, and it was deserved as well with Jordan Henderson and Curtis Jones as well. But it's like you said, mate, it's how you bounce back from that. And he was one of the best players on the pitch last night. And that's the thing with Ox. And like Dave said, he's exactly like Naby. He needs that rhythm. He needs that game time. He has the opportunity now to do that. You have West Ham, and then after that he has Arsenal. Then could he do something against Solskjaer after the international break? That's the big thing. But and like what Luke said, he is playing for his Liverpool future if he wants it at the minute, because after this season he has 1 year left on his deal at the minute. Would Liverpool extend it? It's always that question. If not, but. If he can have a season where he can have a massive impact in terms of being that that 12th, 13th man that's going to add to the squad, that is what you want from Ox. Realistically, our main midfield three is going to be Fabinho, Hendo, and Thiago if fit and available. But you need that impact sub, and I think Ox could become that this season. But he just needs, again, to stay fit, consistent, and so on. You look at someone like Tsimikas that we haven't spoken about tonight, but I think we will in a little bit. He's someone that can come into the game and look brilliant and not have any rhythm. If you do that with Ox or Naby Keita, it is a lot harder for them to get into that game. And that, so I think that is what he needs to do a little bit more. Just, get into the game a little bit more. But then also, again, like the lads have said, stay fit when possible.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, it's a man that I haven't forgot about. But there was a lot of great performances, as Connor said there, John and the lads already. We'll be here all night if you're talking about the performance. But for me, Ox stood out last night, obviously. Fabinho, the midfield was absolutely spot on last night. John won it. But just a quick thoughts on Kostas. For me, as Connor alluded to, he's been in and out of the team this season, but he's not really put a foot wrong, has he?
No, just quickly on Axe. Axe's problem is he doesn't get run of games. He's never had a run of games since his injury. If he got a run of games, he's probably one of our best midfielders, personally. Everyone talks about his injuries and everything else, but they don't talk about Thiago's injuries in the same way. Thiago's really injury prone since he joined us, but no one talks about him. That's just quickly what I want to say. But on Tsimikas, I wouldn't drop him. I'd keep him playing. He's better than Rabo at the minute.
Yeah.
Rabo's the best left back in the world. Don't get me wrong. But at the minute, Rabo needs rest.
Yeah. It's I was saying in the car to my dad, I don't know if you would agree, lads, but Kostas' final ball is better than Robbo this season. I don't know. It's a massive shout, but has it been? Probably. I don't know if Robbo's probably got more assists, but that's given probably the amount of game time. Would you agree with that, or do you reckon Kostas is a bit better going forward?
I think I think, as you said, Jack, I think if you switched Robertson's, overall positioning and sort of work before that final ball with Tsimikas, with the way he plays the final ball this season, you'd have the complete left back that we've had over the last couple of years. I think the assist for Robertson has dried up recently. I've got no doubt in my mind that can come back. But as John said, I think if Tsimikas sometimes gets the nod over Robertson in certain games, I think at the moment, as Liverpool fans, we've got to accept it, because Tsimikas has come into the side when he's needed to, and he's performed really well. So he's got a knock on the door at some point. I mean, last season, he was the cover for Robertson, as we all knew. But now it's like he's had a season at Liverpool. He now knows how it is. He knows how the Premier League is, Champions League. He now wants to knock on the door and get some more regular football. And good luck to him. Every time he's coming to the team, he's always played well.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, Luke. Eamon's comments, as he says, Ock's lack of game time is affecting him. He is too inconsistent to have a run in the team. Spot on there, Eamon. I think the lads have already touched on that as well in relation to that. Official Y1B, why you guys having so many injuries recently? I think it's always been a case with Liverpool when you do play the system in which, obviously, Tommy Tuchel, the way Pep, the way Jurgen play, very aggressive in terms of training.
High intensity.
Yeah.
Even the training is high intensity, apparently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I remember,
that's the reason.
I remember Dave come on one of our podcasts before, and you mentioned about, Liverpool have done this style of football for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point it is going to happen. Like, we're going to get injuries. We went through a couple of seasons without injuries. So now it's all starting to come about because of the double training sessions and, as you said, Dave, the high intensity in the games. And some players obviously are just prone to more injuries than others. But it is what it is.
It's the thing, he's spot on there. We had like 3 years on the run where the majority of our 1 to 11 got injured, did they? And then obviously after the title win, I think all the bevies went to the Reds and that. And then after that big massive party they had. Richard said if he played more than 90 minutes a week, it'd turn into dust. That's right. The fact that we all have doubts about Ox says it all. I've been one of Ox's biggest fans and still am. I was just disappointed because I know there is a player in there. I think every single one of us know there's a player in there, but it's, as everyone's saying, the consistent levels. Hopefully, if he does get in a consistent form, then if we have a fully fit, fully firing Ox, I think we'll be in a strong position going forward. I tell you that now. Tsimikas' corners are massive. I think that's why Klopp gave him the nods. Costas is outperforming Robbo at the moment. Oswald, very much agree with that, lads. Tom, how you doing, mate? Cheers for tuning in. And everyone, if you don't mind dropping a like on the video, we just hope the algorithm on all the platforms. You're absolute legends. Hope you're having a lovely night. Really do appreciate the lads on tonight as well dropping in. Tom, total agree. Costas needs to be starting games and give the brilliant Robbo a break. Costas is deadly from set pieces and brings something different to the left-hand side. Absolutely fully would agree with that, Tom, as well.
It's a nice headache, Jack. It's a nice headache for Klopp because we've been screaming for a Robertson backup now for like how many years, and all of a sudden we've got one who, at the moment, you give a toss of a coin. We don't even know if Robertson's going to. That's how good Tsimikas has been. There's a doubt whether Robertson's going to start now. You wouldn't have been saying that a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's the thing, isn't it, Dave? And everyone, you need the top teams in Europe when you win trophies and titles. You always have fresh competition. You look at the great sides of Barcelona. You had players that could come in on the bench, and obviously great 70s and 80s. Liverpool had players that you could bring in within a heartbeat, and you'd very much not notice a loss in quality, really. But totally agree. Robbo's our best left back, should always be on this team sheet. Players can have the odd bad game. Maybe a rest will do him good. Absolutely spot on there, Eamon. Could Robbo or Costas play on the left midfield if needed? That's a very big shout, lads. Anyone? Possibly. Do you reckon, Connor? You don't agree with that?
I hope not. That would mean our whole midfield is really in trouble. We've half the team bleeding out if that was to happen.
To be fair, I don't think we have Alberto Moreno left in the squad, so it's find him a place.
Don't mention that name on the chat and wait.
I'm sure. I mean, everybody's been mentioning Trent to play in midfield. I think Trent is probably more technically gifted than those two other lads. They're more defensive. Let's be fair than say Trent would be. He's more attacking, but they're professional players. He could probably play anywhere. To be fair.
Liverpool fan Uruguay fans. I really like your channel. Watching all the way from Uruguay. Keep up the good work.
Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez is funny.
Thank you very much for that, mate. And every single one of you, everyone on tonight's show, and really do try and get everyone on to connect in Liverpool family. Really do appreciate it, mate. And obviously, if you're watching live or ever everyone always get your comments, and we will be replying to you in the comment section below. But that's the beauty of the internet, the power of the Liverpool family around the globe. The amassing, I bet there's loads of amazing fans in Uruguay that support Liverpool. So all the best to you, mate. I really do appreciate you tuning in, and hope you have a lovely night. Really, I have seen footage of Harvey Elliott rehab. He's looking sharp, very much so, Gary. And well, I wish I got the bloody picture. He had the picture with Torres, and he was like us if we had a picture with Torres, because obviously he's boyhood hero. Obviously, Torres now is an absolute beefcake.
I'd be a bit scared now if I was
Yeah. Torres looks like he'd be like a doorman.
Wow. I seen the thing on Twitter. It was like a doorman. It was like a fella out on Saturday, a teenager out on Saturday night meeting the doorman at the end of the night, kind of like that. He let me in.
Yeah.
Well, we spoke about UFC earlier. I think Fernando Torres is trying for UFC, like if possible.
Well, is this Simeone? Torres, he's had enough of Simeone dropping him all those times when he did.
Torres McGregor.
As long as Torres isn't having to do a couple of runs, his Amis might go anyway. But yeah. Paul, Evening Reds on a great European home performance, totally professional and managed the game perfectly, unlike Brighton. You'll never walk alone. Cheers for that, Paul. Hope you're having a lovely evening, mate. Really do appreciate you tuning in. Anyone missing Ginny? Amen. Well, he's getting absolute. I don't know if you've seen the goals, lads. If you haven't seen the PSG goals from last night, he scored, and all the players ran towards obviously whoever got the assist. And if you want to agree the reports, agree with what the supposed reports, the journals are saying, they don't like him for some bizarre reason. The PSG players. I tell you, for me, that just screams Newcastle in January putting a 60, 80 odd million pound bid in to get him back.
He came out a few weeks ago, didn't he? And he turned around and said about he's not settled there.
Yeah.
Something's happened, and it's really caused a lot of controversy over there.
Yeah. Right. So we talked about Ox's performance. I think it was important. We talked about Kostas, talked about the goals. Trent's 2 assists. It's bread and butter for him, really. Reds in it. Professional performance from Liverpool, really, in relation to that. Liverpool, Juventus, Bayern, and Ajax. Shout out to Ajax. I don't know if anyone, lads, have you been watching Ajax this season, especially in Europe? I tell you, that's obviously if they do finish top, we won't be facing them. But Ten Hag has got them absolutely playing so well. Has anyone been impressed with them?
Yeah,
games.
Very impressive Ajax. I think apart from, they should have played us in the Champions League final, shouldn't they, in 2019? But I mean, what Ten Hag has done over there. I mean, the players that he's brought, and produced over there, the Ziyech, Van der Beeks, De Ligt, etc. And now what he's doing with an average Premier League player in Dusan Tadic, and now he's got him over there. It's unbelievable.
Classy as well.
He's a brilliant coach, and if he comes to the Premier League, I mean, I think John put on one of my comments last night about what do we do, or it might have been someone else who put about post Klopp. I mean, if it's 2024, if Klopp does decide to leave Liverpool, and Ten Hag has to be up there as an ideal candidate for the Liverpool job.
I think United are looking at him. I think United have their eyes on him as well. So, I mean, Ole might be at the wheel for a few more weeks, but I think someone like him, could be hopefully a few more years.
Had to go more years on that day, hopefully.
Everybody in Europe be looking at him. Everybody in Europe, even Newcastle. I know Unai Emery, but I mean that's a bizarre one. Unai Emery, isn't it? He's at Villarreal, and he'd been talked about it after day one. I think it was 2-0 yesterday, and he's been asked about going to the Newcastle. I mean, it's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Well, they're going for Eddie Howe. So Newcastle, if you want to get Eddie Howe signing Brighton like he did with Bournemouth players, we've got.
How are you going for Eddie Howe?
Eddie Howe, we've got Divock in a year for
70.
We've got 70 million if you want to buy Divock. Yeah, we've got a nice shiny European.
Can't buy Solanke and what was it, Jordan Ive?
Oh my God!
Just literally play the Champions League compilation of Divock Origi. Look, there's your £100 million player.
That's right. We love Divock, but I think himself wants 13 football. But even when he come on last night, He was getting sung by the Kop. We love him to bits.
That shot was amazing.
It was.
Did you catch it, Jack,
loved
when it comes to you?
Nearly, but sadly, I think if the ball goes into the Kop, then it took my head off. I was like, have it, go on. But yeah, you can't keep the ball, sadly, because you'll have the stewards literally running at you. The balls are like 100, 150 odd quid each, and it's mad. That's like, even if you, I know when a couple of my mates used to live around, obviously in the old Melwood, and you'd have people knocking on the door going, can we have the ball back? And it was like, a ball hasn't even come in my garden, mate, sorry. But it was so, it's like a Gollum with the ring. My precious. with the Melwood stuff anyway. But right, lads, I'll call it there. But right, let's get to everyone's comments. Hello, Helen. How you doing? Evening, Jack and panel. Hope you have a lovely evening, Helen. Eddie Howe just agreed a 2-year deal in principle to become Newcastle manager. Eddie, you know where Liverpool are, mate. Come and buy us from our players. Avens, but who would be possible to get in the round of 16? Anyone other than the English sides, but I think everyone's more or less going positively. Yeah. The only probably bogey team possibly would be a possible Real Madrid. Or even if
maybe Juventus, if Chelsea get top spot in that group.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody will want to get us. Let's be real. I don't care who we get. You know what I mean? We're good enough to beat anybody over 2 legs. So
I think I like Barcelona. If they finish second.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich have won that group. It's out Barcelona and Benfica, I think, for the second spot.
I mean, Barca, Real aren't the teams, are they? Barca, Real aren't it? Real beat us when we were absolutely on our knees. So we owe them one.
I'll tell you what, I want in Real Madrid's group, if they come top, I want FC Sheriff.
Oh, I tell you.
Sheriff.
I'm glad Doug's not here.
Oh my! I'll tell you what, they're not bad actually. FC
Good
Sheriff.
side.
Yeah, no, I tell you, I know we're all.
I mean,
we're all laughing here, but they are a good side.
If they get in the I mean, I think they're third in the group. I think Milan went above them last night, but if they finish at least third in their group, what an achievement! That has to be one of the stories.
Unbelievable. Do you know that the FC Sheriff's manager? Do you know who his assistant coach is?
Me dad.
Yeah, I was going to say Paul ran the pub.
No, the deputy.
No. Not right.
Deputy dog, baby.
Yeah, get your cards out, lads.
Sorry, Dave, mate. I'll give you
yellow.
Only a yellow. Only a yellow.
Yeah, in a bit, Dave. Right, lads. I fully enjoyed this. Shane, I watched the game last night. Liverpool were fantastic. Did fade out a bit in the second half, but the job was done. West Ham on Sunday, Shane. It's a massive game, which I'll be trying to get the lads on as well. If you're watching, you'd like to get involved, I will drop the link, and you'd be very welcome to jump on the show, our pre-match show. That will be tomorrow night, so stay tuned on the channel, Reds. I said to Shay's comments as well. If we play like that in each game, we have a very good chance of winning something this season. Very much agree with that, Shane. Do the panel think the UEFA Champions League should be changed to the best of 6 so that if they had qualified, they don't have to play anymore? No, Helen, because that's a bit unfair to say if, like, say, Newcastle or someone get into the Champions League. But it's an interesting idea. But I think even if Liverpool did have a stinker of a season, no one deserves, unless you finish in top 3 or top 4. It used to be the top, if you won the league, you got into the competition, didn't you? And that probably made it more prestigious. For me personally, I wish that was still the rule, but there you go.
I'll tell you what's interesting, Jack, just before we go. We've 2 games left. Obviously, we won the group, but you get $2.5 million for a win in the Champions League. So that's potentially $5 million up for grabs. I heard Klopp talking about it last night and saying that he'll go strong in the last 2 games. I know everybody's saying that it's going to go weak. Actually, I think he will go quite strong. Now, he doesn't have to play the best team available, but he might throw 1 or 2 young lads in. But I think he'll go quite strong, you know.
Well, that's mine and Jack's chance. He's gone.
Yeah, I wanted to play. Got me kits on here. Got me kits and shin pads on here at the minute ready.
Can't be the ref instead.
Right. Right.
We all know what happened in the Michelin game. Was it 2 years ago with Jota or last year?
Got a 3 months
you
out.
know,
Eamon have told you that you're never going to see me with a hot dog. If you do, then there's something wrong with me at Anfield. Onions undercooked, probably, but they're massive. Yeah, I tell you, if FSG sold all those hot dogs, we'd buy Mbappe next season. But sadly, they're a massive rip-off. Go for the pies. If you're ever at a game, Reds, go for the pies. They're absolutely lovely.
that actually sounds right. An Mbappe burger. That sounds right. That sounds right.
Don't put it past them. Yeah, don't put it past FSG. They'll be branding all the drinks and everything.
Oh my God.
Surprised it's not like Joey, when you were a kid, you used to go into the Odeon and you get like a limited edition Star Wars cup or something. Then you'll probably get a limited edition Mo Salah cup or something. Buy this and get this free.
You'll get him a new contract.
Get a Man City season ticket free.
Whoa! No, right. Just to end, you don't. Man City, the fans, you didn't even pack out a European night at their stadium. Basically, if you go on any Shop Direct or any other websites or coupons,
Argos.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't got tickets advertised in Argos, as Dave said, for the Man City game, because he sadly can't get rid of all the tickets, and which is small club mentality that in it. So,
Happy meal stuff. Happy meal, baby.
Yeah, right. So Luke from the 1892 Reds podcast, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I've got his link in the description. Dave from Dave LFC Chats, his link's in the description as well. Connor from the Kop Council, his link's in the description as well. And John, your link is in the description as well, so if anyone wants to follow John as well. But yeah, thank you very much, lads, and most importantly, everyone at home. I really do appreciate all you taking the time out. If you are watching this on the repeat, really do appreciate it. And if you don't mind dropping a like on the video, really just help the channel as well. But you make it all possible. Everyone at home watching, and most importantly, everyone that come on tonight, absolute legends. And the Reds are qualifying for Europe knockouts already. We've got 2 games to spare. We've got a lot of shows to come. We've got our pre-match build up of obviously the West Ham game tomorrow. Try and get a couple of the West Ham lads on, and obviously a couple of lads on tonight as well. But Reds, really do appreciate it. Thank you, lads, everyone on tonight. Really do appreciate coming on. And Reds, we'll see you tomorrow, and you'll never walk alone. Up the Reds. See you later.
Cheers, guys.